Bon, the idea is to prepare this. They are preparing starter and main course. We prepare the dessert, and after we enjoy everything together. So we'll work together on the first thing. We're going to prepare the sablé on one side, and on the other side we're going to basically to prepare the génoise. Those are the two things we need to bake and cool down before doing anything else for the pastry. We start with the sablé maybe. Basically the sablé is to mix all the ingredients together. Okay. So the only thing that I like to sieve in this recipe is the icing sugar. After we mix all the ingredients, which is icing sugar, flour, almond, or butter. This sablé is just a mix. If we use warm butter, then we have chances to emulsify. Then eventually you bring some air inside. So when you bring air inside and you try to line up, it cracks the dough. Yeah, that's exactly the reason why I like to pour butter. Can you have the butter? So butter is cold and small same things to make sure it's going to mix fast. So you can bring now all the ingredients, all the powder. I don't sieve the flour because it's a sablé, and this one we are going to put it at the end, really at the end. So I just mix a bit the powder together. Actually, sometimes when I do the sablé, I also put the flour in the chiller. So the idea is not to melt the butter. We're just going to mix until it's mixed. Voilà, as simple as that. Slowly. Voilà. So once again, I go back. Whenever I do short crust and I do dough and so on, always the cold butter. I mix and straight away I can use it, or leave it just a few minutes in the chiller to use. Once this one is mixed and we add the feuillantine here, we're just going to keep it between two pieces of paper, a bit in the chiller. By the time we can use it, we can actually roll it. It's actually a really thin pancake that have been remaining of, it's the factory doing those pancakes in France. They wrap it and all the remainings they give to the pastry to use. It's flavored with vanilla. It's really crispy. It's really nice, really interesting. I'm going a bit faster. Just when you reach this texture, it's still cold, and that's it. There are still some small pieces of butter. It's okay. I don't really worry about this. Just add this one. And once it's mixed together, then you just rest it for a while. It's really interesting type of thing. And this sablé is really crispy. For cheesecake, actually, it's really good. So you see, if I got some pieces, I'm just going to mix it by hand. And we can eventually cut two pieces of baking paper, like another one like this, almost the same size. And we roll this one in between. I try not to knead those dough also, it's just to mix it, because if you knead the dough, then you give it body and it becomes elastic. So this one, I really want it to remain soft. Voilà. So first, try to roll it as flat as possible on the whole surface. I'm just going to clean this one. Here, my friend, you can sieve those powders together at the same time. For the génoise, sieve together on a piece of paper and crack those 4 eggs. The idea is to have something a bit more rectangular. No, because we do a Christmas log.
I forget.
Huh? Okay, and we keep it first in the chiller. The next recipe we do is the génoise. First, we're going to whip the whole eggs and the sugar together. Whip it to ribbon. It's like a sponge, huh? It's a sponge anyway. So we just start to whip this one. So maybe 7, 8, 10 minutes, we just leave it to get ready. So I sieve on a piece of paper, and straight away we'll take this paper to put on top after. And also when we mix starch and flour, you see, you need to sieve twice to make sure it's really mixed. And I will use this paper as a base. And for the chocolate mousse, I'm going to melt this one in the microwave, the milk chocolate, because I want to leave it to rest. I don't want it too hot, so I melt it first. Okay, starts to stand. We are going to stop here. Ribbon, huh? Okay, so it stands on top. So now we're going to fold it, and she's going to fold it. You can pour for her. Slowly use it as a channel. You carry this, and you pour slowly, and you fold it inside. Allez. Folding. In French, we don't say fold, we say cut actually, couper. In English, it's folding because you take and you fold on top. Okay, and we're going to reuse this paper because it's at the size of my baking tray here. So normally the génoise you work in a round mold to bake, but here we're going to line it up in this tray. So it's going to be a flat one. So you flatten it as fast as possible actually. And then on top of this, using the same technique, we will put the chocolate mousse after. Straight away, what is important when we do sponge is to bake straight away. If you wait 5 minutes, then you lose volume. So 190, I'm going to bake it. This one is like a biscuit, so we bake 9 to 10 minutes. So the next thing that we are going to prepare, we are going to cut part of it to get ready the base of the... See, it hardens really fast because it's butter based. Of course, it's still soft. It's not too hard. And the size, what size are we going to do? Basically, will be 30 centimeters And eventually I will cut a rectangular shape. We're actually going to adjust it after, but right now to have a base which is more or less rectangular, and we're going to bake it. At the end of the day, if it's not really rectangular, for me it doesn't really matter because it's homemade. Now for me, you see, today even the people who are making things straight and so on, the last touch for the deco is always something that is a bit twisted in such a way that the machine cannot make it. It's the gourmet touch, or the gourmand in French we call it. I keep this one in the chiller until my oven is finished because I cannot bake it 190. This 160 is okay for this type of crumble. Eh? So I just melt the chocolate, starting to melt. Eh? I melt in the microwave. The next thing we need to do, we need to whip the cream. 300 grams is okay by hand. We can take on. Eh? It's not so much. Okay. You start when you're getting tired. You give quite fun. The more air you bring, the easier and the faster it is. Eh? So slowly the chocolate is coming, becoming a bit more soft. So I go really slowly, always really slowly. I defreeze actually. I'm just turning the tray. We should have whipped the eggs and sugar also. Okay, so we are not going to go too hard. You see, this is already, it's almost hard whipped. So I'm going to stop here. And this one we'll mix it with the chocolate, and we're going to line up onto this piece of biscuit. But this one first, we're going to check that the Genoise is cooked. You have two things. First, you put your hand and you don't see any dark. If you put your hand on the chocolate cake and you see the darker side, which is humidity, then it's not baked. And of course, the Genoise is bouncy. When you press, it doesn't stay down. If it stays down, it's not baked enough. You go softly and it must be a bit bouncy. So right now, you just leave it to cool down here. And eventually I'll put it directly on the table to cool down faster. The oven is hot, we're going to bake the sablé. So basically I'm going 160 degrees. So the oven is already hot. Let me set the time, 12 minutes first and we see. So we're going to prepare the raspberry syrup. So the syrup for the soaking is actually base syrup. Now why we use raspberry and chocolate? Well, first because red berries and chocolate goes together. And here for my syrup, raspberry is going to bring a bit of freshness, but this is raspberry puree. So you can use fresh raspberry, exactly the same. So I just mix the raspberry and the syrup. We might heat it up a bit because the puree was frozen. I'll get some dark chocolate to coat. Actually, we coat this side with dark chocolate, then we turn it upside down, then we soak, and then we will put our chantilly. To cover this surface, roughly 100 grams of chocolate. Chocolate can be really hard to melt, especially if it's aircon. If the chocolate is cold, it's a really long process to melt it. We'll cut on this side. We're going to remove to make it easier to line up. Allez, put it all around first and then make sure that we need an even layer. This is going to be the base of the cake to help to carry the cake around and to help to keep a bit of dry space between the sablé and the cake. So we need to have a thin layer of chocolate to make sure we protect the sablé. And the sablé will remain crispy actually. So thin layer, then we keep in the chiller just to harden it. Then once it's set, then we'll turn it on another piece of paper. So the sablé is still soft. When I'm going to leave it to cool down, it's going to harden. So I have to be a bit careful with the sablé. The syrup is here, so we've brought it to a boil. We're going to put a bit more of water because it thickened a bit. So we just add a bit of water to recover the quantities that have disappeared in our recipe. So for the chocolate chantilly, the chocolate is melted and it's not too warm. I don't want to mix a hot chocolate with the cold cream. If not, we have a problem and eventually the cream is going to split. You pour the chocolate onto this and you fold it. Well, you just pour everything and after we fold it. Voilà, so slowly. Do not hesitate to flatten it a bit. It's a bit less sensitive than what we did earlier with the Genoise. The sponge cake is really sensitive. But for this, it's a bit less. So you just need to mix. Voilà. Even more that if you don't go fast, then what's happening? The chocolate set again because the cream is cold. And then we are going to coat this. It's almost set, but it's going to finish to set in the chiller. I'm just going to take one piece of paper here. Then we turn the cake, and then only, okay. Then we use the frame that is here. This is the one we use for the cake. So you can soak all around. Yeah. You start from one side, not painting. So you really soak it. So soaking, you will do it from your side, but it's really, you press, you see, I press, no painting. No painting because I need to put a lot.
I'll continue.
So for this type of size, globally speaking, we need 250 grams of syrup. When you soak something, it's good to measure because if you don't measure, you won't soak enough sometimes. And if you don't soak enough, then it's too dry. And it's always good what you're doing to go in the corner, because that's the area normally that we don't soak enough. Exactly. Now it's okay. We're going to spread this kind of chocolate chantilly all around. We need to put everything. So you need to spread it around. If you use this, normally you can go inside the mold. So after this one, we keep in the chiller for a while to set. Then we're going to cut some strips. We chill it like this, and we keep it for a while in the chiller. So this will be the base. I'm just going to slowly just get something slightly more rectangular. The sablé was soft when we took it out. Now it's still a bit soft. Now it's not okay. But now we don't have the choice. We won't see it after. It's not a big worry, because it's going to be the base of my cake. Only you and me know that it's broken, and everybody because they saw it on the camera. What I'm going to do now is to keep this a bit in the chiller because it's still warm, to cool it down, and then we pile up the chocolate cake once it's set. So I'm going to cut this. Remove this one. So Waifan and Mina, I'm adding a bit of raspberry in the middle of the cake, and then I'm going to pile up. So this is and the last layer. Okay, I'm going to do something a bit triangle, and this one. After we'll coat it with egg white. Now it needs to be chilled. Okay? Voila. So we'll chill it. We can separate the eggs. This one we need to separate. So you can put the yolks here and the white actually directly inside here. Make it the way you like. This will be for the final coating. It's like baked Alaska. So what is important is to avoid egg yolk inside the mixture, because it's oily. It's going to sometimes it disturbs the whipping. So egg yolk we keep it to do later, cream or whatever, vanilla sauce and so on. And this we're going to whip with the sugar. So I'm just whipping the egg white and the sugar. So it's going to make a bit of noise, but I must do it now, and straight away I'm going to coat the cake and bake it. So my oven is already heating up now. So it's going to take 5 minutes. So I'm going just to coat first a thin layer on the cake. So I'm going to bake it now until we get the coloring. Oh, c'est pas fini, regarde. Attends, c'est pas fini. Et voilà. Avec ça, qu'est-ce qu'on vous met? Voilà.